This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO, FY Investment Group, and your host of Washington Current Review, where we interview leading voices from business and politics and explore the topics of current interest that impact you, the viewer. Today, our guest is Puneet Ahluwalia, a dear friend of mine.
Thank you, Frank.
And Puneet is going to be interviewing me. So I'm going to turn the table because he's going to interview me on my book, which I'm very proud of it. Puneet, thank you very much for coming to the show. I'm all yours.
Frank, thank you for having me, and good morning, viewers. So, Frank, your book says, Renewing the American Dream. You are an embodiment of the American dream. I would say you're one of the very few role models in our community here, which inspires not only Indians, but people all through the spectrums, especially the American immigrants, who can look up to you and say, look, if we want to go and be successful in America, this is the man to follow.
Okay.
So now, tell me, what made you write the book?
What made me write the book? Well, you asked so many questions. So let me define, first of all, what the American dream is.
Yes.
And then I will define my personal story that relates to the American dream. And then I will talk about why did I write the book.
Sure,
So
please.
there'll be three answers to your questions. But I do want the audience to know, this is the book that I wrote. The book has a cover of a Statue of Liberty, which is a shining symbol of our hope, opportunity, and liberty. And I wrote this book with my two co-authors, George Munoz and Ed Kriegel. George was the Assistant Secretary of Treasury under the Clinton administrations. And George was well regarded under in the Clinton administrations. And all of us bring a blended business perspective to solving America's problem. So to answer your question, Puneet, let me tell you a little bit about my own personal story about
please.
American dream. I came to America when I was 15 years old. And I believe in America, and I believe if you aim high, if you work hard, you should be able to pursue your dream.
Sure.
With hard work and initiative, I was able to build a business from $100,000 to a huge enterprise of $350 million. And I sold that business to Ross Perot, a true American icon, in the year 2007. And after I sold the business, I got into the writing books.
Very
But
nice.
I wanted to tell my story to others so that other people can be inspired. And starting a business, as some of your audience will be interested to know, is all about taking risks. It's all about getting out of the comfort zone. It's all about venturing into new horizon and experimenting new environment. It's all about creativity, ingenuity, and sense of optimism.
And what you've done is you've been able to take your experiences and be able to put this and invent it in this book, along with the other capable and accomplished writers. You've written this book. It's a personal experience of yours. Tell me about the certain aspects. I've gone through your book a little bit. Besides, we will come to where people can get this book, and I know you're doing this signing all across the country, and along with that in Europe too, I understand. I'd like to know, which is your favorite part of the book, which you want the readers, and which was very close to your heart? I want to share that with the people.
Well, I enjoyed writing every aspect of the book. But because of my personal background, as I told you, and because of a person who had started from the scratch and built a huge enterprise, and therefore it was my desire to give my story in the book. And therefore the chapters that I enjoyed the most in reading, writing, researching, reflecting, and reframing was the chapters on American dream.
Wow.
As well as the chapters in small business and entrepreneurs. As you know, this country was built by small business and entrepreneurs.
Very correct.
They're the engine that drives our economy, and they're the one who create jobs in America. 99% of the business in America are a small business.
Very correct.
And in addition to that, they're responsible for 50% of GDP to the America's economy. And once again, we need to become a hotbed for small business in America. And somehow the Washington has forgotten the small business and entrepreneurship, because I believe that we need to make it easier for small business to access the line of credit and the money so they can spur economic growth, so they can create jobs here in America.
And you know, Frank, you hit it very importantly that the small business it is. And I know so many viewers of the Neely Mars television show and your show are watching, and they'll say, what do we take away from this book? And there's so many IT companies which flourishing here, and they want to be Frank Islam in the next coming years. And that is the very key which people can get away from this book is, how do you frame and you're able to make yourself a very successful entrepreneur and then do noble things, as Frank does. I want to move to another subject. You mentioned a very important thing, that our country is going through a crisis, which it is. In your book, you also specify what can Washington learn from your book. And I know you've advised President Obama and other leaders also. Can you share some ideas of your book which you've shared with them?
Well, this book gives a comprehensive and integrated guide to become globally competitive in the 21st century as we move forward in America. And also, it tells you what kind of things we need to do in terms of policies and programs that we need to put into our country to make it effective is to do several things: to regenerate the middle class, reignite the manufacturing sector, and the most important is unleash the potential of small business and entrepreneurs, as we talked about it. And once again, we need to become economic leader of the world. And therefore, our book talks about how to create jobs. Most of our infrastructure is a decade.
Yes.
Our manufacturing segment is pretty much gone to abroad.
Yes.
We have the largest debt and deficit in our nation. Our imports has been surging. Export have been stagnated. In addition to that, job machine is broken. Most of the American companies are not hiring. So the answer is, what do we need to do to make it easier, to remove the boundaries and the barriers that the businesses face today in America in creating jobs? So to me, that means what we have made several recommendations, and I want to share with you the recommendation that we have made.
It's very important for the viewers to understand, not only for their personal businesses, but also in terms of the larger global picture, what you have offered in this book. So when they read this book, why not enjoy it on a very global sense?
Yes. Well, the recommendation that we have made, because those are challenges that we face in America today, in addition to that, our economy is pretty much in tank. It's number one, we need to make sure the small business have an opportunity to spur economic growth. What that really means that they have to be able to get the money from the community bank, from the large bank, as easily as possible. And the bill that the president just put together in the Congress and passed by president, also is a $20 billion small business bill, which I think will help a lot. That's number one. Number two, the economy, as I see, is very fragile, feeble, and it's a long road to recovery. We have a slow recovery in the economy right now. So I believe, and I know you're Republican, you will share with me, and I know a lot of other people share with me, that we must extend the Bush tax cuts for 2 years for the middle class as well as the people who make more than $250,000.
Very rightly said. I totally agree with that, and I know our viewers would be most happy with that, because most of our community members and listeners and viewers make over $250,000.
Well, God bless them. Number three item is we must extend, give a payroll tax holiday for about 2 years. So that means the employers will be hiring more people. They will be less reluctant to lay off the employees. In addition to that, the employees will have more money on their paycheck, and hence it will spur economic growth because there will be more consumer consumption. There's several other things I want to talk to you about job creation.
Please.
The next step is about it's about export. The president said many times that we need to find market. And as a matter of fact, he went to Asia not too long ago, which includes India, Korea, and Japan, Indonesia. Those are the Asian market he wants to explore, possibly to export our products and services to that nation. And he said in his State of Union address that we need to double that export, and that will create jobs in America. And the next thing we want to do, we want to reform the corporate tax and policy such a way that we once again, we should be proud of Made in America. We have forgotten that part. We should stop sending jobs to overseas. So that means American manufacturers have to build plants domestically and manufacture product domestically. We also have to reform the corporate tax policy in such a way that we can bring the job back from the overseas. But we also have to invest in innovation, infrastructure, education, and training. And we got to reduce our spending. And the last thing that I will say, the last two things I will say, is that we need to reduce our corporate taxes.
Of
As
course.
you all know, the corporate taxes in our country is close to 32% and should be close to 26%, which is, as a matter of fact, our tax is the highest industrialized world.
Yes.
And the one more thing the president is saying, and everybody else agrees with that, we need to get into the investment into the renewable energy,
Very important.
which is the solar, wind, thermal power, thermal, biomass, and hydro. And we also need to improve what we have in medical technology. Those and the transportation. Those are three things that we need to invest more, because those are the products that we can export to the foreign countries, and especially India and China. India is a great example because they have the largest middle class in the world, and they
Growing every day.
every day, as a matter of fact. So those are some of our thoughts in terms of the creating jobs in America, and that's the things that we talk about in our book.
It's a great book, I know. You put your heart into it. If people want to get this book, where is the easiest place to get it? And then the important thing is, if they want to get a signed copy from you, how do they reach you and do that? And again, Frank, luckily for a few of us, we are your close friends, we're able to get to hear from you and your the next upcoming ventures and what you're looking to do in the larger scheme of things. But there are so many inspiring viewers who have there and who listen to you every week. What can you say? Okay, this is the book, you can get it from here, and what else can you add to it?
Well, first of all, the book is available on Amazon. It's also available if you go to my book webpage called www.renewingtheamericandream.net, and then you click book, buy book. And the third thing you asked about the questions, if they want to get a signed copy, sure. You can come to my office and you can call me. I'll be more than happy to sign and share my thoughts, my ideas, my ideals, how to move America forward. And that's the things, that's the message that we all trying to get to in our country. We need to move forward in America, not backward.
Very important.
And
I think
I'll
that
be
was
more than happy to share.
And wasn't that the line of your governor now-elect, O'Malley, let's make Maryland move forward?
Yes.
And I think maybe he took the line from you.
As a matter of fact, I sent him a book, and he's the governor of our state of Maryland. I'm not here to tell him that he's taking the line from my book, but whatever he's saying that resonates well with millions of immigrants, millions of people around the world, just like my personal story should resonate well with millions of people across the globe. And it reaffirms the notion that if you aim high, if you work hard, you should be able to pursue your dream, and anything can happen in America, that America is a land of opportunity.
Well, that's great. You heard it here with Frank Islam. If you want to get a signed copy, come on by, make an appointment. And not only will he sign the book, he will also share his thoughts with you, how to improve your business, and share his wealth of knowledge and experience. Before we go to close, Frank, any last words you want to share with people? It's important because I know you're a encyclopedia of experience and things you share, because every time we break bread, there's few ideas I go away with. So
Okay.
please.
Okay. Well, first of all, why did I write the book that I did not answer to Puneet? It's three things. Number one is a sense of disappointment and concern, and out of responsibility. We're disappointed because the year 2000, 2009 was the worst of the decade in America. We had the highest unemployment rate. Our economy did not do very well. As a matter of fact, it's not doing very well either. So
we have doubts about 2011 also.
As a matter of fact, you're absolutely right. We were disappointed and dismayed by the lack of the leadership of our politicians and community organizers and the business leaders. They did not come through.
Yes.
So, and we were also concerned the fact that no one was taking any step to move America forward. As a matter of fact, a lot of people are taking it, but they're not working together for shared ventures and shared goals. And my final thought on the book is, all of us have a role and responsibility to shape America's future. And we are the country of dreamers and doers. And Americans are strong, resilient, and vibrant. And we can all realize the American dream if we can work together for shared ventures and shared goals, rather than attacking each other, by working together by seeking a common ground. And I know all things are possible when we learn from one another, when we listen to each other, when we are working together for a common ground. So if we have the desire and the drive and the discipline we can all realize American dreams. But the American dream should not be promised to the few. It should belong to all
Yes.
who are willing to work hard, who wants to get education, and who wants to put food on the table. And that's what the American dream is. And that's the reason I came to this shore, and thousands of people, and millions of immigrants came to our country
Yes.
to realize that American dream. And that's what the middle class is all about. If we do all these things, we work together, I think our best days will be ahead of us, not behind us.
Well, Frank, with an optimistic view, we thank you all for joining us in the morning. And please do get a chance to read Frank Islam and Ed Monroe's, and George Monroe's and Ed Krieger's Renewing the American Dream. But I'll be reading more for Frank Islam because for his vision and his experience, which he shares with us, and the optimism which you saw here, I highly recommend it. And thank you for joining us. Frank, thank you.
That is our show. Until next time, this is Frank Islam, FY Investment Group, wishing you a great week. And